Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com.
In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of False Starts. My name is Chris Shipley. My co-host Bill Blank. Brought to you by the AKC Andrew Downs Studio and sponsored by Green Beret Realty and Revelton Distilling Company. Bill, how you doing?
I'm swell, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing well.
That's good to know. The Bears got one.
Yes, Caleb Williams is the real deal. He's starting to figure it out. I think so. He's starting to figure it out. I've seen improvement every week. He did not have any turnovers in the red zone like your guy, so I'll take it.
My guy meaning Dak?
Yes.
Yeah, he sucks. I don't go near as hard at the refs for the Cowboy games because
no,
it's just not the same. I'm just not as passionate. I laugh when they're bad. It makes me laugh how bad they are and how dumb they are.
I see a difference. Right, I see a difference in your demeanor when it comes to you call them the dumbest team ever created.
Yeah. It's
the whole team is dumb. Whereas, and is it because, in all seriousness, is because I think you've said this, you give those college kids a pass. They're in college, they're kids. You'll never tear down the guys that play at Iowa. It's always the refs or whatever.
Used to.
That's because the Cowboys are the professionals and they're getting paid a lot of money.
Which
that's where the difference is for you.
Which now with I guess NIL, that's slightly different, but for me, it's more so I just turned over a new leaf, somewhere I want to say in my maybe early 40s, where I just decided because I'd be hard on them, not horribly hard. I wouldn't add anybody on Twitter, you know, Like, I wasn't that stupid, but like, I would mention someone by name. Like, I distinctly remember talking about Jordan Bohannon not being able to guard anybody.
How did we not talk about that? How did we not talk about that?
Been a guest on our show. You think I was going to fucking say that to him? So, that was, things like that. And so I just decided at some point, like, these guys, if these guys watched me watch the game, they wouldn't even want me to be a fan of theirs. Like, they wouldn't even like me.
Did I ever tell you I had a similar interaction, but I was arguing with a guy. It was about Kirk Ferentz's record, and I was trying to claim that he had a mediocre record. This was years ago when I was kind of an ass.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going back and forth with this guy, and all of a sudden he tweets out and he goes, well, I don't really care what you say. He was good to me when I played for him, and I'll always have a special place in my heart for that guy. And I was like, fuck, who is this guy? And I went to go look. It was Scott Chandler, who played tight end for like the Bills and everything.
Oh my God. He was talking to you?
I was arguing with him for like half an hour.
That's no idea where insane.
He was. I was like, holy shit.
I
finally just replied to go, I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I got no room talking to a guy like that. That's ridiculous.
I don't even really get on the coaching staff much. Like it's hard, like I said a long time ago, they're my sacred cow.
Yeah.
Like, do you know why cows are sacred in India? Do you know why?
Yeah, they're like considered like a god, right?
But do you know why?
No.
Like
no, honestly, I don't know.
The practical application for why?
No.
It's simply because the cow provides you with so many other things besides meat, just basically from its milk.
Okay.
So to them, it's like, why would you kill this thing that provides you with so much? You should worship it. Like, it gives you everything. So that's why.
Okay.
So, like, when it comes to the Iowa football Hawkeyes and just the University of Iowa sports in general, they're like my sacred cow. They provided me with too much joy over the course of my life and too many like family connections and deeper things like that I just can't criticize them anymore because they're perfect. And it's the ref's fault.
Okay. Well, then there you go.
They're a bunch of dumb fucks. But yes, and I'm sure you're happy about the clowns being.
Why do you got to do that? Why?
What?
What? You mispronounced their name.
Oh, the clones. Sorry.
Yeah, and their clone trooper uniforms.
They're. Oh yeah. They.
The white.
You had a white out last week.
Yeah.
See that? Do you see how fucking little I pay? I'm not lying when I say I don't pay any goddamn attention.
I know you don't. I appreciate that you knew that they even played over the weekend. I appreciate that.
I forget they even have a team after they play. Regardless, win or lose, like, oh, those guys. Well, should we get to our guest?
Yep, we should. Yep, go ahead.
Stop boring everybody with our sports talk.
That's right.
Although I feel like most of our fans, if they're even paying attention, are usually like Iowa or Iowa State fans.
I'm sure they are.
Most of these podcasts are some iteration of one or the other.
Right.
But anyway, so our guest we're about to be infused with more energy than you ever thought imaginable on this podcast. To the point where I feel like I don't even bother stepping up or trying to keep. It's like trying to drink beer with your grandpa. Like, if you try to keep up, it's just not going to happen. So I don't even bother anymore. There was a time in my life or my career where with this dude, I might have tried to go blow for blow, and it's just not even. It's pointless. It's completely pointless. One of my most favorite people, honestly. I met this dude at Good. I think we've been friends for at least 15, probably 20 years if we go back far enough. Probably about 20 years. going back to the old club and everything. Just one of the best guys in the world. Just saw him in Indianapolis last year. Everybody, please welcome BT, my friend.
Hey, man, that's so nice of you, brother. I mean that. Appreciate you, dude.
Yeah, of course, dude.
I mean, honestly, that means so much because you think about it. We haven't, other than that, when you came to Indianapolis, you hit me up. We haven't seen each other, but the fact you keep me there, man. Like during the pandemic, I was doing your podcast.
Yeah.
Then just so happened, fucking Brian Regan was in town. I go, man, I apologize, but I gotta go see Brian Regan. He was getting his special ready, and I guess they closed down Ohio, whatever. And he said, and I guess they got it, hey, Indianapolis, what do you guys want to do? He goes, yeah, we'll take you. So I apologize, but I gotta go see Brian Regan.
Well, yeah.
So. Man, the fact that you keep me there, that means so much.
Of course I do.
So much. I appreciate you, dude. I mean that.
I appreciate you. We met so early in my career, like, so people stand out, the people you meet right away when you first start really working a lot. Mm-hmm. And then, you were one of those guys at the old club with the fucking blue wall and shit. Yeah. Like at the time you represented a whole different level for me, I was just barely, it was like I hadn't gone through comedy puberty yet. My voice hadn't changed yet, No,
you were good. You were always good, man. I always liked your point of view and how you came from. And I really did. I always, we always got along.
No, for sure. And I remember BT was one of the dudes. I've told this story before about auditioning for Last Comic Standing, was because back when I auditioned the very first time, it was the second season, the one that Heffron won. Mm-hmm. And I was in Nashville and I stood in line. I was in line for 12 hours overnight. Yeah. And was in the front and watched Heffron and a couple of other people just get out of cabs and walk right in the morning. So I was like, oh, well, I'm not doing this again without a call time. There's, So then years later, I finally have a call time for whatever season that was in Omaha. And I show up in Omaha and I see the list. BT's on the list. And I'm like, what the fuck? I don't even belong here.
You know what? That was one of the few times, man.
And then I drew number one.
I was focused. I mean, yeah. I remember this was when I was, doing my thing. But I remember I had a girl or two like in Omaha that I should have hit up, but I didn't. I was in a hotel room going over my set.
Yeah, no pussy, all comedy.
Yeah, and she hit me and she goes, "Yeah, that's kind of bullshit." And I go, "Listen," I gotta be focused here. And if you can, I'm not gonna be focused. So I know it sounds like I'm bullshitting you, but I'm telling you the truth. In which, that's one of the few times I was telling her the truth. So I go, listen, I'm telling you the truth. I gotta be focused. I gotta get a fucking career. And it just so happened, luckily my set got me to, I got to LA and I got a chance to go up in front of Wanda Sykes, in a dark room. It didn't work, but I mean, I was focused, man. I tried to get the set that I wanted, and actually I did. It just didn't get selected. I was happy because I wasn't out fucking around. I was, like I said, focused. So I was happy with that. So, I think that's probably the most focused I've been since, I think.
Do you ever think like I'm almost positive I've done this before, or even recently, maybe like that kind of self-sabotage thing where like sometimes we don't focus because we kind of inherently know that even though no matter how hard we work or how focused we are, we still might fail. So it's almost like, maybe I should, that's kind of what keeps you from putting all that effort in.
Yes and no. I hear where you're coming from. It's like you do what you think you're supposed to do as far as, Last Comic Standing is coming to Omaha. I got to go and sign up. Hopefully I get on. I got on. And then people know you're doing that. So it looks good to the outside world, but you're inside, you're kind of, like you said, self-sabotage yourself going, I'm just going to go up, fuck it, man, I'm a comic, and they don't get me.
Yeah, I'm not giving a fuck's what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think more comics do that more than anyone. And here's the thing, though. I think if you really think about it, and it took me a long time to understand, it's not every comic has the same goal. And it sounds something simple, but once I realized that, it almost became easier in a certain way, because you would think every comic has this goal. At least when I grew up coming through the ranks, that's how it was. You work the road a little bit, and then you go to LA, and then blah, blah, then hopefully you get a sitcom, blah, blah. Some comics don't think that way. Some comics are happy doing the road, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Which that to me always made me go, are you fucking serious? Like, my thing was always eventually going to LA, and then, sitcom. I didn't realize how much hard work it is, and like I said, you got to be focused. And when I went to LA, it was all my fault. Man, I had the greatest manager in the world, had the greatest everything in the world, and I fucked it all up. So it was my fault. But because I didn't realize the hard work you got to put in to get there. People can say what they want, and I'm not saying I know everything, but I do know if you put the hard work in and you focus and you take them lumps in the beginning and whatever, if you're out there and they see you and you keep putting that time in, it's gonna come in a maybe a different way than you thought, but it's gonna come in a different way. But it'll come, and it depends on what you want. You gotta be focused on what you want. Like, you can't just, okay, I want to go to LA, and then I want to go to some, but you really don't. You say it, but you don't really mean it. But I've seen it, man. If you just, and I remember Judy Brown told me this. Judy Brown's the greatest manager in the world. She told me, she goes, if you come to LA, I know you hate going up, but go up at night in LA, get a job at like be a mailroom clerk, whatever, at a studio, so you can stay in town instead of doing the road, because the road will get you nowhere. And I thought, no, I'm a comic, I know what I'm doing, and so here I am in a single bedroom apartment in Indianapolis doing a podcast on a Tuesday night. So, I should have listened to her. That's my fault. But you know what, though? Man,
yeah, but it does manifest in different ways, obviously. Like, I remember people telling me, over the years, like, if you just go out there, you'll at least get a writing job. Like, yeah, you think funny, like you'll be writing for somebody and a show or blah blah blah. And for me, I didn't want to leave my kid. Mm-hmm. I had a son here. I didn't want to be an absent father. So, but my goal was always just to pay my bills telling jokes, and and that's when I talk all the time about, and like, success is self-defined. And,
yes, yeah,
and like, whatever if you're meeting your goals, but then now the question is, do I go back to that self-sabotaging thing? Do I move the goalposts? Do I change my goals to fit how much work I really want to put in? Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you know what? You ever thought, like, how you microdose? Whenever you're doing microdose.
Oh yeah, we talk about it all the time on this show.
I'm sure you do.
Man, that's super early in the pod. We don't typically.
I didn't bring it up. I didn't bring it up.
Bill didn't bring it up.
But if you micro goal it, if the thing micro goal, like, I mean, if you really sit there and think about it, you know how many comics are out there. You know how big this world is. But if you keep your blinders on your head and you micro goal it, and I mean, like, okay, comedy contest is coming, I'll enter that, and then hey, a submission for a short script or whatever your goal is, I'll submit this, and if you keep it like that, it's not as daunting as the grand scheme of things. Like, oh, go to LA, oh my God, everybody's in entertainment, what do I do? Keep it like this, and just micro, little by little by little. Like, this month I want to headline this, or I want to send in a spec script to this, or I want to contact or maybe get a manager. I mean, that's how I did it, honestly. And I was into all that shit way before. I think it's, like, now it's almost hack to say, now I'm going to manifest abundance. I'm going to manifest this and that. Yeah. That's the big thing. But back in the day, before the internet, when you had to, like, this is before dial-up. I didn't have a computer until late. So it was before I didn't have a computer. So I would get a book, and I was, doing the road, which I would read while I was driving, which is, it's like the same as texting, but almost worse. I would read while I was driving, but I would get all those self-help books, and they helped me on the road. I remember Les Brown, his first one, Live Your Dreams. I remember, like, I don't know about you, but if I saw a packed house, I'm ready to fucking, go kill. But if I saw, like, scattering or maybe 3 or 4 people, you know, and you go, oh, this is gonna suck. And I remember like reading one of his things. He was supposed to do a speech, and he saw like maybe 12 people, and he goes, and this dude said, hey, listen, man, we really want to see you speak, so you better act like you want to be here. And he goes, that's right. He'll never, you know, always judge circumstances as they are, and that helped me so much. So I kind of micro goaled it, you know, little things like that. It would help me. And it helped me when I went to LA. Like I said, it was my fault that I wasn't focused when I got there, but it helped me get there. I was like, I want to get a manager. And then I just happened to chance meet Judy Brown at the time, and bam, I got a manager. And I mean, stuff was coming to me just by little things like that. When I micro goaled it, it was great. Like I said, that big daunting task of, oh my God, man, LA, there's a Hollywood sign. Oh shit, everybody's, oh God. But if you just keep in your lane, which is hard, and granted, it's hard, but if you just focus, and I get where you're coming from. You had a kid. And man, and that's where I never had that kind of, you know, and I commend you for that. I really do, because that's hard, man. That's really hard to be a dad and be there. I commend you. And I think that to me is the number one thing, is to just be there for your fucking kid.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I
get
wanted
that
to coach Little League, you know?
Dude, I think it's fucking beautiful. I mean, I really do, especially now. I lost my dad back in August, and man, I look back on it, and he was always there. He was always there. So, you know, the stereotype of, you know, the black father, the absent black father and everything, it always kind of would piss me off in a way, because I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Because my dad in our neighborhood was my dad and was Mr. James. He lived there around the corner.
Do you think maybe that's why you like Kiss?
No, that was the exact opposite.
Because your dad didn't leave?
No. Because that was back in the day when all lines were, you know, you didn't cross any lines. So when I did that,
you crossed every line.
That crossed the rift. That caused the rift in our and me and my dad's relationship forever, man.
Really?
Yeah, man. Because I mean, you gotta understand, man. I grew up in Oklahoma, small town Oklahoma, and so you know those lines were
they were lying about Tulsa.
Tulsa was.
Yeah, like they were lying about it, like it didn't happen, you know.
But let me tell you something. Me and my brother talk about this. You don't understand. Growing up in Oklahoma, you had to read. It was mandatory. It was Oklahoma history. You had to take Oklahoma history. There was no way out. It was mandatory. They never fucking once mentioned that. They never once mentioned the movie that Robert De Niro and Scorsese did, the Moon movie. You know what I'm talking about? Where they stole the Osage Indians, all that oil and shit.
Oh yeah.
I don't
yeah.
know.
But anyway, it came out I think 3 years ago. It was for Captain War with Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro. Anyway, that was never mentioned once. Growing up in Oklahoma, no one said anything. I didn't know about that.
Even growing up in Oklahoma, that's insane.
But I didn't know about that until I was doing a comedy festival in Jacksonville, Florida, and some dude, he go, "Where you from, man?" I said, "Oklahoma." He go, "Oh, you know about the Tulsa race ride?" I go, "What?" And he told me about it, and I was like, "Are you serious?" And then, so now that it's getting all this pub, I go, and then my brother said, he goes, "Man, nobody even we didn't know anything about that at all." And now it's getting all this, you know, all the eyes are on Tulsa, talk about, you know, Black Wall Street, and we never knew anything about it. Never. I mean, that's a travesty within itself, you know?
Killers of the Flower Moon.
That is
the name of that movie.
Huh? I'm sorry?
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah. There was a like 3-hour movie.
I haven't seen it.
But yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, that's insane to me. Like, that is when someone talks about systematic, like that is an example. Like, what reason would there possibly be to not teach that as a part of history? Like, why would you openly teach about slavery and the Civil War and slavery ending? Why would you openly teach that but say nothing about Tulsa? I'm thinking because the reason they would teach about slavery is because they could make it look like somebody white at least was like saved everybody. You know what I mean? And like the Tulsa race riots, they're like, we just have to act like that didn't happen because there was no white knight to come in and go, "Hey, wait a minute, I'm going to do the right thing."
Yeah, I mean, all the records, the Tulsa PD destroyed those records. I mean, like, I think it was probably now more 7 or 8 years ago, they found a shallow grave, and where they literally, these white kids at the time back in the 20s said they saw a truck with all these bodies and they dumped them and they fucking buried them, and they're and no one said anything about that. So you erase history. Tulsa PD burned the records, so no one gets prosecuted. No one got prosecuted of all what happened. No one white got prosecuted at all. And they want to deny the fact that they used the military to drop bombs on their own people, to drop bombs, on that area of town, north side of town, and then to deny that. I mean, it's still a form of. It's hard to say slavery, but it's still a form of.
It's
Oppression?
trying. It's like it's trying
Yes.
to make people think they can't possibly like. It's a way to keep people down. It's a way to say that it's oppression. It's
Well, if you think
it's
about
like
it,
if black people know they can have their own Wall Street, then nobody can stop them. We have to make them think that's not possible for them.
it's a mental. It's almost like the old trick with the elephant. At the circus, when they're little, you tie them down and they can't get out. So when they get older, they definitely get out, but they still get that mental
That they can't.
I can't get in it. So I think you'd eliminate all the problems in the black community if you expose them to what they were and all the accomplishments they did and everything they did. I think you would eliminate a lot of that shit that goes on in the black community now with the shooting and all that shit. If you knew about yourself, if you knew, like I'm finding shit out more every day. I mean, but that's what it is. It's education. That's why you got killed as a slave. If you learn how to read, think about that. Read. And now, that's amazing. Now, no one talks about like in Florida or other places where they ban books. It's the same thing. I mean, they say history repeats itself. It is. I mean, you're banning books now. I mean, you can't learn about black history in Florida now. I mean, Florida's like, they've gone back to an era. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, it's the same shit. I mean, know thyself, and they won't let us know thyself. They won't let us do that. Everybody else, I mean, no offense to other groups, I'm talking about who had trouble and and they got financially compensated. But you mentioned something bad about them, then you're going to be in trouble. But we know what I'm talking about, okay? And that was terrible. Their Holocaust was terrible, but we had a Holocaust too that no one talks about. It's the same thing. But like Public Enemy said, it wasn't recorded. There was no videotape there.
Right. Well, there's also, different groups of people are still basically white. There's only so many groups of people that you can tell what they are by looking at them.
But but now it's almost
like 100%. Like nobody can fucking nobody's gonna look at you and say that you're not black. Like you know what I mean?
Majority black. Yeah.
But nobody's gonna say shit. Like there's an assumption made. Regardless, like it wouldn't matter if you were Sudanese or if you were from like Cuba or any like people see you from a certain distance and you're just black, so they make assumptions, right? Just like people see me from a certain distance and I'm just white to them. I could be Jewish, but they don't know that.
Exactly.
I could be all kinds of different things, but they don't know that. But they know you're black.
They know you're white. So.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, but my stereotypes are more positive. I'm not a threat. I don't scare them.
Well, I think if you went to a majority black place, they were thinking like, okay, what's this guy here for?
Because I'm fucking crazy enough to be there.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, what's this white dude doing? Yeah, is he gonna shoot us up? What's he gonna do?
He's trying to go undercover.
Yeah, is he gonna shoot shit up? What's he gonna do? So yeah, man. I mean, and so that's the frustrating part about it. And I don't understand how people don't understand why there's frustration. You deny somebody's history, deny we existed, or deny the what has happened. I mean, just acknowledge it. And now say, okay. And then try to go from there and acknowledge it. Don't ban a book to read. Like,
do you think that's really? Do you think that's really happening, or do you think that's propaganda?
About what? About what?
Like the book banning. Like, I have trouble believing. I think that maybe there's like a person or two that's trying to do it to draw attention to themselves, but like I don't think that people are actively banning books. Like, I don't think public libraries or schools are actively banning books unless they're like religious institutions or something. But
no, I
it's
do.
kind of like the same. Like, I feel like sometimes that's like a part of liberal propaganda, like the like when the Republicans will say shit like they're eating cats and dogs, like that kind of propaganda. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I feel like the liberals make some shit up that the Republicans are trying to do that's bullshit. Just like, like the fucking they're demanding to have litter boxes in the bathrooms in the high schools because these kids identified as a cat, and nobody anywhere put a fucking litter box in any high school bathroom anywhere. That kind of shit.
I think that there's a fraction of something that happens that is true, and then they run with it and extrapolate it. There are laws on the books that parents can go in and have a book flagged, and then it goes to a committee and it goes to a decision and it can be removed. But then I think what's happening is that they take that and they say it's happening everywhere and it's happening widespread. Yes, it can happen, and yes, it is happening. But I think that both sides do take those arguments and then run to the extremes with it and get everybody riled up.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a little truth to what you just said, but I also believe that.
Well, when we're talking about like erasing history, like Tulsa and things like that,
that's
a completely different subject than just the general of like, banning fucking Huckleberry Finn.
What? I find that hilarious. I mean, it's like, just own up to it. I mean, if you're black and you read that, at least me, I almost laugh at it. You know what I mean? Like, it's almost comical in a way, but I mean, because it's so out there. Like, all right, okay, nigger Jim, okay, got you.
I wish you gotta. It's like you gotta come here next time I see you. I got. One year for Christmas, my sister bought me tickets to something, and in order to wrap them, she found this joke book at like Goodwill or something.
Okay. And
this joke book is a falling apart hardcover, old as fuck, maybe from the 50s, and it's almost like a joke encyclopedia, and it's got like a table of contents, and it's divided up like Pollock jokes, black jokes, fucking
wow,
yes, and it's some of the most racist, horrible shit.
But is it funny?
Unbelievably funny?
Exactly,
unbelievably funny.
You go, you know what? I shouldn't laugh at this, but goddamn, that's you know what I mean. That's just the truth.
No, it's like watching Blazing Saddles.
Yeah, but I think that era. That's why I still say this. The 70s was one of the best decades ever because that shit was out there and no one said shit. I mean, I remember hearing on Sanford and Son, the Jeffersons. They said it, and you're like, and you just went with it. You thought it was funny. Now you hear it now. They go, you see the comments on Instagram. They go, oh man, I can't believe they said the N-word on this show. Oh my god. And I'm like, man, you guys need to shut the fuck up. I mean, that was a good time. That was when. If you give me movies from 72 to about 78, you couldn't fuck with them. Like the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, the original one. Oh my God, that's one of the greatest movies ever. Jaws. I mean, that realism. So that period. That's why I think, and it sounds hack to say, but I think we were a little tougher, and we were coming off the war. We were coming off of the Vietnam War, so. We were a little tougher, man. I think so. A little thicker skin. I mean, everything was out there, bro. Everything. I mean, And we took it with a grain of salt. We were like, all right, whatever, man. You know, you watched the midnight special on Friday night. It came out. I think it came on at midnight or 11, and you still watch the midnight special. Fuck, bro. 70s were a good decade. I mean, not fashion wise, but it was a good.
Well, I mean, I was born in 78.
Oh, you don't remember that shit.
So yeah.
When you lived through it, I mean, looking back on it, fuck, man. I think, and I always say this, and I say in my act, I go, women were the most beautiful in the 70s. From black women had natural hair, they had the Afro puffs. You know, white girls had the straight hair or they feathered it. That was fucking hot. Mexican girls had that straight black hair. And you're like, you look pretty, Lisa. You know, gracias. I mean, it was beautiful. We had like 2 Mexican girls in the whole school system. And they were, you know, and it was just great, man. It was a great time. No one said, I'm really offended that you're like, what? Offended? I don't even think we knew what the word offended meant back then. I mean, we just took shit with a grain of fucking salt.
But don't you think though, like, I look back on different times. I mean, granted, this is, you know, I was in high school. I look at those kind of situations and stuff as like, what was it like when you were in high school, right? Or shortly before.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I can remember times where dudes took a lot of liberties with what they said and things.
Yeah.
And it was like this dude's cool because I can say the N-word in front of him and get away with it, right?
Yeah.
But then like you look back and you wonder, like, okay, was he just letting me get away with that because of he was out? What else could he do?
True.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, true.
And so like, I think that those situations are what contribute. Like, I remember a situation where we were playing basketball in my driveway, right? And there was one black dude that was playing with us, and he was always really funny, and like we always had a great time. And you know, people would make little racial jokes here and there, right?
Yeah.
Well, I remember us making all these jokes while we were playing in my driveway, and my dad was playing too. And like, we like making all these jokes, and everybody thinks, oh, it's all good, it's funny and everything, right? And then I remember seeing him a couple nights later at a basketball game. And this is one of the most brilliant fucking things somebody's ever done.
Uh-huh.
And because now I know, as I got older, looking back, he's sitting there thinking I should smack the shit out of this dude, but he's safe in front of his dad,
Mm-hmm.
and he thinks he can be funny like this because his dad's here, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And because he would have wiped the floor with me, he was twice my size and whatever else. So we're at a basketball game, and I don't know this at the time, but he's like, "Oh, this dude's funny," and he keeps like patting me on the back, and he's like talking about. Oh, telling this other dude, like, oh, man, this dude's so hilarious and, like, all this shit. Come to find out, the whole time he had you know how you get a stamp on your way into the game? He had the stamp, and he was just stamping the shit out of my shirt. Just ruined my shirt, you know? And, you know, he got me back. And I remember at the time, like, what the fuck? And being, like, kind of mad about it. And thinking he was doing it just because, like bullying me or something. And it took years and years for me to even think that all happened within a week, I think. And
Yeah.
it was, I was a fucking douchebag way before that.
Touche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I look like, it's like, wow, what a smart fucking, that was brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's almost like reminds me like
So I say that to say, like, when you talk about like being offended back in the day, like we didn't even know what that meant or whatever. Don't you think there were a lot of moments, like the reason things are kind of the pendulum swinging a bit is because of moments like that happen that people are being more cognizant of?
I mean, yes. I mean, I think it also depends on region also. You know, I think it depends on where you grew up and I think, you know, we look at the South the way it is, but there was a lot of good interaction between white and black in the South. That, I mean, stereotypically you think, you know, whatever you think, but I think it depends on region. But I also think it depends on what you let people get away with. I mean, the people, you know, like my brother is one of those people who's like, hey, you need to cut that shit out now. And like, okay, you know, there's no joking around. Like, all right, I'm gonna warn you once. And my brother didn't take no shit. Where I was a little lax. So they knew right then and there. So sometimes you gotta establish in battle lines like right then and there, and people know what they can get away with, because people will get away with what you allow them to get away with. And I think sometimes you let shit. If you're black in a situation, you let them get away with a little bit because you want to be accepted. And especially, you know, in high school or whatever, you know, you want to be the guy that, I got friends. Or you think you got friends. And so you let them get away with, but they're my friends. And then you get older and then you see life and you go, man, that was kind of really fucked up, you know? And then with hindsight being 2020, some people have a sense of like, and I hate saying this, but because they've taken the word and they ruined it, but in a way woke, you know, I hate saying woke, but in a way you do, because you do awaken to the point of like, now that I know a lot more than I did back then, because there was nothing back then. There was no internet, nothing. So I didn't know history. All I knew was what they told me in school. And they showed some Martin Luther King and that was it. But now you can get on the internet and look, or not just internet like Instagram, but like real shit. And you go, holy shit, we did all this shit. And then you have a sense of pride. And now I know why my dad was the way he was on certain situations. You know, like, how come you didn't read that book that I wanted you to read about Jackie Robinson, what he went through? Like, Dad. Now I get it now. You know what I mean? Like, now it all makes more sense. So
he didn't want you to take things for granted on some level.
Exactly. Like,
yeah.
I never knew why he was like, hey, so where do you sit at when you sit on the bus to go to school? Like, we sit in the back.
The back was the fun place to sit. Yeah, I know, man. Isn't that crazy? I remember in elementary school because I took the bus to school.
Yeah.
And we used to fight over sitting. We used to want to be in the very back because that's when it was the bumpiest. And like we'd be bopping around back there. We thought it was a blast.
And you could jack around and not get in trouble.
And so like I remember the first time I ever learned about Rosa Parks going right away. Well, I love the back of the bus.
Exactly. I mean, now it makes more sense why he asked me that. But yeah, like you said, the back was the shit. But for the political implications and what they went through to get us to sit where we want to, now I get it. But you know what's great? That's I think my
at
dad.
the same time, though, you're entitled to those things. Like, you know, yes, like your dad and people of older generations, like you know, it's almost that same thing as like when I said shit about Adolph Rupp, my grandpa going, well, it was a different time. Well, yeah, that's kind of fucking bullshit though. So like, yeah, it's a different. You know why it's different now? Because it was wrong, and there were people that knew it was wrong, so things got corrected, right?
Yeah.
So like with like your dad, it's like, yeah, I don't want you to take this for granted, but you should take that for granted. It shouldn't matter. You shouldn't be. It's a great thing that you're not even thinking about where you're sitting on the bus.
Yes.
That you're just getting on and sitting where the fuck ever, and you're not even thinking about it. That's a really good thing.
Yeah.
So it should be fucking your next generation, your kids. It should be fucking unheard of that they can't sit wherever they want.
Right.
Like I don't think some kids, like they don't even know. Like what? I mean, I think what? And so, but that's why you need everything available as far as history. And like everything available so kids know. And sometimes I think in some instances, some teachers need to shut the fuck up and let kids decide on their own. Like I always hate when teachers put their little 2 cents in, and you go, and you know, even back then when I was in 6th grade, whenever I was like, you kind of need to shut the fuck up, teacher. You know, no one knows what's your input. Like I remember.
You're giving opinions right now.
Well, I remember loving Kiss back in the day, right? So I grew up in Bible Belt, Oklahoma. And I remember about fucking Miss Tackett, but she was Miss Ellis back then. I remember Miss Tackett saying, you know, Kiss stands for Knights and Satan Services. And I wanted to go, why don't you shut the fuck? I really wanted to say and you don't understand. I never cursed when I was a kid, but that one time she said that, and that hurt because I love Kiss like a fucking passion, and I wanted to go, you need to shut the fuck up about Kiss. I wanted to say that to her so fucking bad, but I know I would have got a paddle. But I was like, man, that's when I go, teachers need to shut up. So teachers get part of the problem also. You know what I mean? I mean, they could help exacerbate all the attention by saying this is what happened for real instead of being like on one side. You know, because I know how that is. If you're it works, I think, both ways. But if you're like a black kid growing up, and you know, black parents thought that was the flex, man. You send your black kid to an all-white school, you can get better education. It's like, yeah, but the other shit that comes along with it, it's not really worth it. So, you know, I'm seeing that now. You know,
it makes you lack other education.
So what am I saying?
It makes you lack other education that was important.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to put yourself in that time. It's like,
yeah,
they thought that was the flex, and you can't
100%
afford. And I get it.
This is what success looks like.
Exactly, and it's like because my parents went to a segregated school, and so you know, my hometown didn't start integrating until 72. They didn't integrate till 72. So you know, and they had a all black school, and luckily they did kind of integrate like the school mascot was a rougher, right? And it was a bulldog. It came from the black school, and they put a sweater on him, I guess, to pacify him. They put a sweater on. They put a turtleneck sweater on him. But he still stayed hood because he had a monkey wrench in his fucking hand. so my high school was the Muskogee Roughers, and it was a fucking bulldog with a fucking turtleneck sweater with a fucking monkey wrench in his hand. So they combined the best of both worlds. So you know, you grow up in situations like that, and like. Looking back on it, I'm glad I did grow up like that. I really am, because it helped me. You know, everybody knew I always wanted to get the fuck out of that town and see the world, and I did. And it, I don't say made me appreciate the town, but in a way, yes, in a way, no. But I mean, looking back on it, I still had, you know, there we go. Look at that. Look at
I love that.
That is a cool ass logo.
It is a cool ass logo.
And the Bulldog came from Manual Bulldog, which was an all black school my dad went to, actually, and so that's where they got that logo from, man. Yeah. Look at that motherfucker. that's the new and improved one. The old school one was him with a fucking, there that monkey wrench is, that one. They're on the second row. There it is, the second row. He's got the monkey wrench in his fucking hand. You see that, motherfucker? There it is. Man.
There's a football.
Brother, that's fucking great.
Oh, right here. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the monkey wrench.
There it is, man.
Yeah. Oh, and there's that oil. There's like an oil thing behind the other guy. So
those are new and improved ones. So
they work in the fields.
Through the years, I see what they did, but yeah, man, that's how I grew up. So, and it all makes sense now. So, you know what's
funny is my elementary school, they wanted white kids. They busted white kids.
Really?
Yeah, my elementary school was called Edmonds Academy of Fine Arts, and that's how they. It was basically what we call, it's called Homes of Oak Ridge, which is like basically the poorest little part of town or whatever, right? It's like so all the kids that lived in the neighborhood that surrounded Oak Ridge all went to Edmonds. And so then they made it into kind of a fine arts school that was like a special school that had this gifted and talented program and stuff. And so then they bust in white kids from surrounding neighborhoods for like to get the numbers and the talented and gifted program. And I think it was more so, you know, knowing what I know now about the world, I think at that time it was probably about getting some grants and stuff, you know? But
that's fucking beautiful, but it's the truth.
But nonetheless, it worked out great for me because I grew up in a really diverse environment from the moment I stepped foot in elementary school through, I mean, that was first grade. And I also changed schools about 4 times in elementary school. Once I hit junior high and high school, it was the same, but like elementary school, we moved a bunch. So like I developed all these tools very young, you know, to adapt, make friends, yada, 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 you name it. And when it came to, you know, racial things like, you know, Edmonds, I didn't really meet a lot of Asian kids until I got to like junior high and high school. Like elementary, and there weren't a lot of Latino kids either.
Yes.
Like elementary was all pretty much just black and white.
Yeah.
And so it was good because I learned the rules. I learned where the lines were. You know, I learned all that stuff, like, and it came naturally. And then looking back, it helped my career a lot. I mean,
but yes,
to be perfectly honest, the Funny Bones and Improvs love to have a white guy that can do black shows. Like,
exactly, that's not afraid to go up. I mean, you know, that's more that in the crowd. No, the black crowds know. Like, okay,
that's 100%. It's fear based. It's 100% fear based because I don't change shit.
Exactly, because they can smell. They're like, you know, we're animals, so they smell fear, and they know. 100%. Okay, he's been around us before. He's cool, and you just go and when you be if you're yourself and you don't pander, they love it even more.
100%. Yeah.
You know, you're yourself. You just go up and tell your jokes. You don't pander. You treat everybody equal. They go, yeah, he's cool, and I think that's beautiful. And that to me is so beautiful to watch. It really, I love that. And that's the beautiful thing about comedy, man. You know, if you go up, I mean, I remember I struggle.
Everybody wants authenticity, like that. That's the thing, and that's where people fuck up. Like authenticity is not divided by race. All human beings want you to be authentic. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you would go up in front of a group of people that is different, that looks different than you, right, and think that they don't want you to be authentic is idiotic. Like, no matter what, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you're right. It's and it works out great. Like I've had a moment where I was in Kansas City and I did a joke about how Fantasia Barrino can't read, and this one guy got really mad and started yelling at me saying I was racist and shit.
And what you
said? He said I can't talk about black people when I'm white, and I was like, "This is my show, bitch. I can talk about whoever the fuck I want." and the crowd went crazy. Exactly. That was the thing. Like, if you're doing things right, the crowd's still on your side.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like, nobody divided shit. Like, everybody was with me. You know.
Yeah. That's beautiful, man.
And he was. I mean. That dude was so mad. He said, I did have some gems during that moment. He said, I bet she's got more money than your bitch ass. And I go, she does, but I can endorse my own checks. and then I'm trying to remember, there was one more thing.
That's fucking hilarious. I don't have to put an X on the check.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of the joke. Is I was talking about her song "When I See You," and she puts it. She goes, "I scribble XOXO in my notebook," and I was like, "Eh." It's like, is that hugs and kisses, or is that how you sign your name?
Jesus. That's a gem.
Oh, I missed that joke. Like, I can't really do it. You know, it's such an old reference now, but I loved that joke so much.
That's fucking.
It was like 5
half your
minutes
audience doesn't know what endorsing a check means.
Yeah. No shit. No shit. And that was funny because I remember the moment. The moment that joke all came together was I got to the end and I distinctly remember it because I was headlining in Colorado Springs, and it was check drop time. So people are fucking with their shit.
Right.
And so I was talking about how some people get mad when I do the joke, which doesn't make sense because I'm making fun of an illiterate millionaire, blah, blah, blah. And then I would say, like, in this moment, I saw everybody fucking with their checks and everything. I go, now, if you can't read, then I get it. Then the joke's super offensive to you. But it's not like you're going to fill out your comment card. So what the fuck do I care?
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And that from that moment on, that was the end of the bit. Like,
That's great. That's
and
great.
so then for, however many years, and that's when comedy's beautiful. Like, when
yes,
it just,
that's beautiful. I mean, that's funny. That's great. That's great.
So, I did explain, and we've touched on it a bit. Like, the whole theme of this podcast is for men to be more open about mental health and be able to be more vulnerable. And I know you've gone through some shit here in the last how many months has it been? I mean, it was shortly after I saw you, wasn't it?
You came in during the Final Four or during the?
No, it was a Big Ten championship football. It was so
February then, wasn't it?
January.
Oh, no, January.
Yeah.
Well, my accident happened May 6th.
Okay, so about 4 months later.
Yeah, but yeah, it happened May 6th, and then yeah, man, it's been a little bit. I mean, because that happened, and then my dad passed like 3 months after that. So yeah, those two things have gotten me. Yeah. I mean, I'll get over it. It's funny because you say that mental health and men being more open, but man, it's funny because I was just going through this. I mean, I'm going through it now, and when I go, it probably would benefit me to talk to it's like a therapist or whatever.
You should. Yeah, I go every month.
But it's like, then I go, you know what? I'm just gonna get through this shit by myself. I mean, that's just how it is. Because, which I understand, you can't talk to somebody more than probably once about a parent leaving you. I mean,
Right.
and then the accident. You can only talk to them a couple of times about that because nobody and I don't blame them. Nobody really wants.
Yeah,
to
it lets you like kind of unburden your friend. You brought up something right there. That's actually something I've never mentioned before that I never really thought about. That is a good thing about therapy, is it lets you unburden your friends a bit. Like, you don't have to be such a bummer.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Around your buddies.
Yeah, man. I mean, because and that's what it is. It's like, man, to be perfectly honest, I think I've cried myself to sleep fucking at least 4 or 5 times a week, literally. I mean, not to sleep, but I cry during the day. Like, it's just funny because
Just the range of emotion is happening almost daily.
And it's funny because when the accident happened, when people were calling me, and I couldn't control it. They go, "What happened?" And I start to tell them about the accident, and I mean, like I'm talking now, and all of a sudden it would just hit me. I call it, I was Seattling. You know how it rains in Seattle for like 15 minutes and it stops?
Yeah.
I call it Seattling because I would just cry for like 5-6 minutes, and where I couldn't stop, and then I'd stop, and I was good. But I mean, it hit me, and I couldn't control it. So I got to the point where I just wouldn't talk about it, but I was good. I was okay. And then, so I thought I was over it. And then, I had to look. Then, so it worked out to where there was a person behind me. They had a dash cam, and they recorded my accident, and I saw it. And so, and it's weird because I was trying to download it, and it said I couldn't do it. And I go, you know what? That's good because I didn't
Maybe
want to see
that's
it.
better.
And then all of a sudden, it ended up working. And I go, oh, fuck, here it is. And I go, because I was on my phone, and I'm not good at that. Hey, I barely got on this. I barely, you know what I mean? I thought I was late. I was like, oh, shit. So I barely got, so I was like, okay. And then it came on. I go, oh, shit. I mean, to the point of it was already going. And I go, okay, I got to watch it, I guess. And I saw the accident happen. I saw me come into view on my motorcycle. And it didn't happen. And it didn't happen anywhere near like how I thought it happened. Because I thought, I knew something fell off of something. It was something in the road. And I thought it was a trash can, one of those big green trash cans that you put out to become
Yeah.
And I thought that was in the road. And I remember taking my bike and doing this. And I go, I'm not going to make it. And I just remember that. But everything had slowed down. And it didn't seem like it slowed down. But I just remember like, and it's hard to describe, but it was like somebody or some hands were on that trash can. They were trying to move it out of my way. And I go, I'm not going to make it. And that's when everything kind of went, it was like a poof. And during that time period, there was a house me and my dad would go to see his friend. But it seemed like that house was in the, not kind of like in the air or whatever, but because you had to walk to it anyway. But it seemed like it was, I don't know, kind of, and I don't want to say like it was heaven, but it was like, it was kind of like, I was like, why is Sarge's house, why am I seeing his house?
Floating.
It wasn't floating, but it was like, but it was there. It was like I was back home in Oklahoma. I go, why is this house here? And I go, is there, wait, maybe there's a house on the side of the road. And I thought, hey, maybe I'm dreaming. And then the woman was, helping me. And I go, fuck, this is real. But I also remember, like, at the same time, trying to get my helmet off and looking down, there was blood on the fucking highway. And I go, shit. And getting the helmet off. And I go, and that's when all the imagery came. And I thought, and the lady showed like, fuck, this is real. So when I saw it unfold on the video, it was nothing like I thought. I mean, it would happen so quick, and I fell off the back of the bike, and there's a point in my helmet that I have where you see that's probably where I hit in my head, and I had to be out for a little bit because it was like a flash knockout. I guess I was out during that time. And I rolled, and I think I hit the center median. I was rolling, and so I was like, oh, and then that's when everything came to but it didn't happen the way it did, and so I watched it like 5 times. But now, if I show somebody, I can't watch it. It's like it's weird, and so that was a little PTSD coming from that.
Yeah,
so I'm trying to get over that. And then my dad's health took a turn for the worse, and then then in August, he ended up passing, and then that's where I'm at with that now. So every day I deal with that, and that takes away the PTSD from the accident. But now it's a different kind of thing. So it's
like Major League 2. Like, my balls
like,
hurt so bad I wouldn't even sad about my mom anymore.
so it's like I'm dealing with a different thing,
Yeah.
Like, and that I think that's worse because it's like
emotional pain's a lot different.
It was emotional because it's like my dad, like he had Parkinson's and real bad toward the end, but it's like he never gave up. And I remember when it was, I guess, within 2 weeks of him passing, I remember telling him, hey, Daddy, I think I'm on crutches now. Because I went from a wheelchair to crutches. And he goes, well, you're going to walk before me, which meant he planned on walking. And,
yeah, he's still planned on walking.
Yeah, and I go, well, shit, Daddy, well, come on then. And, fuck, that's what happened. But yeah, hold on, I'm going to show you the picture of the helmet. This is let's see if I can get this in there. That's it's just a little part of the helmet.
Lights shining on it, but yeah.
Yeah, all the scratches and
that's nothing. Yeah. That's nothing compared to that's when I hit the pavement.
Whoa.
That's the face.
Yeah.
Wow.
That and the other one is you can barely see the blood on the inside, which I don't know where the blood came from, but that's
wow. Oh yeah.
So yeah.
So the helmet definitely saved your life. No doubt about that.
Yeah, man, and this is why my foot's all fucked up. So that's my boot.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Jesus.
So that's what I got to deal with. So all that combined within and this is kind of numerology shit, but I'm a firm believer in the book Project 369. I don't know if you ever heard about it. It's one of the best books ever. Anyway, it deals with the philosophy of Nikola Tesla. Everything is numerology, but everything comes back to the number 369. And hold on for a second. I'll show you. This is the book. It's Project 369, right? Huh. And it's all about numerology. And they think that in Tesla, was coming up with a thing where make electricity free for people, and that's why they think the government killed him. But anyway, everything comes back to 369. So my accident happened in May, and then my dad passed in August, and that's 3 months. That's the 3 in that. And there's a 6 and 9 in that, but I just remember that happening. And he passed on the 9th, on August 9th. So there's that numerology in that, and fuck, man. And ever since then, it's like it's been fuck. It's just been, I say hell, but it's just a different because I live by myself, and there's days when I don't really talk to anybody unless I go to physical therapy. other than that, though, I don't really talk to anybody all day. So it's just like one of those things. I got to get through this shit by myself. Like I thought about therapy, but I go, man, that's going to cost me. So, I'm not.
You can find, like, you don't have to have a psychiatrist or even a psychologist. Like, you can get someone who's just a certified counselor, just like a social worker, more or less. And I mean, that's all my therapist is basically a glorified social worker. Like, it's she is religious. It's a religious based place. So it's kind of funny. I continue to go to her because she's on the God Squad. So she always brings God shit to me. And so I like it because she thinks differently than me and she'll challenge me. And there's no growth in just having whatever I say be regurgitated back to me.
Yeah.
So like, I enjoy her having that other perspective. And then, because more or less what she's trying to say is I have to have a concept of something bigger. I need more.
Now, did you grow up religious or had to go to church or anything like that?
I did not grow up religious. I got baptized when I was 16 by choice.
Okay.
But it was more, like at the time, basically after my great grandmother died, my grandma and my great grandma used to go to church every day. In fact, it's a church that I can see out my window right now. I live right by it. So after my great grandma died, my dad started taking my grandma to church so that she didn't have to go to church by herself. And then, of course, my dad started driving the church van. Now, all of a sudden, my dad's going to church every Sunday. Well, every once in a while, I'd go just out of sheer boredom, just like for something to do. There were a few girls there or whatever.
There you go.
And so I started going a little bit, and then I started going to youth group sometimes. And like now, all the girls liked me because I was like, the only like dude like that was kind of cool that went there or whatever. So. Yeah, I got a lot of my first ass at church. But anyway, so like I took all the classes and stuff and I got baptized, but it's kind of a thing that I did mostly to make my grandma happy. And I've never been one that just totally bought in. My brain's a little too logical for it, but I'm also jealous of the religious people, like someone that really truly believes. Like I'm jealous of that peace of mind that they have.
See, I'm almost the exact opposite because we had to go to church and everything was, especially in the Black community. I mean, it's almost a stereotype. I mean, and if you look it up, it's true. Like 83% of African Americans go to church. We're the largest church-going race there is. And my joke on that always was, always ask Black people, has it ever really worked out for us? I mean, I say, as a group, has it ever really worked out for us as a group? I said,
are you ready for a miracle?
If we were a football team, we'd be the Cleveland Browns. Like we've had a couple of good seasons, we've had good players, but as an overall whole, I mean, and that's where. So when you grow up like that, now, and it's like I said, it's like a reawakening. And I hate to say woke, but so now that I read a lot and this and that. And I'm not atheist. I don't think I can go down that road, but it's like
I'm agnostic, is what I consider myself. Yeah.
So when somebody brings up religious stuff to me, I get it, but I don't want to hear it because I know.
Yeah. I mean,
because I've always said that book I just showed you, Project 369, and The Secret. That book talked to me, right? And so you try to say that to somebody who's real religious, they don't want to hear it. You're like, you can't talk to them. And if you're so religious where you can't hear. You can't, hear somebody.
This is the truth. It's always this. If you want to know the truth, like, hey, now I'm done.
I can't deal with that.
You don't know that.
Yeah, I can't deal with that anymore. So it's like I feel like I'm getting away. Like it's weird. I feel like I get away from that, but it's always going to be in me because I it was just innate that we had to go to church. So obviously it's going to stay with me. So a little bit of it is there's a lot of questions there, but at the same time. it's like I reject it, but I don't. And that, I mean, and people who are that way, if that gets them in a positive state of mind or whatever, okay, great.
Exactly.
And if you take away that religious connotation, if you read that stuff, but you take away the Jesus part and the God part, that's basically that self-help books, basically. You know,
100%. Yeah.
because all that faith is like it's just you believe
It's a little life coach.
and you can they can measure brain waves. So
Micro goals.
yeah, so exactly. So that's what prayer and all that stuff is. And you take away the religious aspect of it, then it makes it more palpable for me now. So like if you bring up Jesus or whatever in a conversation, I'm like, okay, then I'm counting down the seconds when I'm leaving this conversation. You know what I mean? And that's just it now. But I get it. So I'm in a weird kind of.
I've said a lot of times there's a difference between religion and faith.
We should start a religion. I think you and I have enough charisma combined.
Do you know how
like we could call it we're gonna microdose Jesus.
You know how much ass we would get, man?
Oh my God.
If we start a religious thing, you know how much ass we both would get? Oh my God.
We'd be the first fucking priest to die of AIDS in the history of theology.
Heterosexual AIDS.
These guys, why does it have to? AIDS doesn't discriminate, BT. You're not supposed to.
Man, I'm just fucking with
Why
you.
is the guy?
I'm just fucking with you. I just want to make sure you're listening. Now, why somebody pick that part of this whole podcast out? And
yeah, 100%.
I already marked it. I already marked it.
Now you get canceled. Everybody canceled BT because he had to specify heterosexual AIDS.
but they'll keep the part out about the reparations and how the black community got.
Yeah,
I'll wipe that out. We don't want
that never happened.
We don't want to get that.
Yeah,
out.
that makes me feel.
I'm an old white guy, BT. I don't want that shit getting out.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying on stage how I wasn't going to vote in this election, and I'm like, I just figure like, what good is all this white privilege if I never use it? I mean, okay, I acknowledge it exists. I agree it does. And so why am I supposed to like not use it or something? Like, what do you want me to do? I mean, if you had,
that's beautiful. I love that.
If you could walk in a room and just be like, hey, just because I'm yellow, I automatically get stuff. Would you not walk in there and just be yellow and get all the stuff? I mean,
yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I can give back in like the Blind Side sort of way.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. It'll be a reverse Blind Side. I take you in.
Yeah. You take me. Man, this dude couldn't barely read, and I showed him this Project 369 book. Now he'll read circles around you.
And now he's killing it.
Yeah. Now he's gonna go play offensive line for the fucking Patriots because it's got to be a wider team.
Or just go down the road to Kansas City. It's only 2 hours from you, so go down there and be on the Chiefs. They're
not wide enough, though. I gotta have. It's gotta be the Patriots. Listen, if they don't rely on nothing but 5'10" white receivers, I'm not playing for that team.
Good luck. But their coach is black, so
Yeah, now they've turned over a new leaf there.
It's about damn time.
I think the quarterback's black too, isn't he?
I don't know, but they DEI'd the Patriots.
They DEI'd.
I knew that shit would work out. The Patriots got woke and they DEI'd them. They got diversity in the fucking Patriots.
They're like, we need to go way in the other direction here, you guys.
We're doing a 180, whether you like it or not.
Speaking of which, I don't think Tom Brady's very good in the booth. I'm not a fan of Tom Brady in the booth.
Well, it's like I don't. To be honest, I don't really watch pro football. And seriously, and the reason why I knew what was going to happen. I knew how it was going to break down. But ever since Colin Kaepernick, I never got back to pro football. And
Gotcha.
I knew how it was going to happen. I knew everything. You know, sometimes you know the end of a movie before you see it. I mean, while you're seeing it, like, I know what's going to happen. And I knew, but I tell you what, I really thought he'd be like he'd never hear from him again. But he took his, you know, that fight for your rights, and he turned it into something. So good on him. But I knew he'd never see him in the NFL again. And there's something about that I just never. Yeah, it rubbed me the wrong way, even though I knew how it was going to go down, and I never got back to NFL football. Like now, I might watch a quarter, maybe, and I mean maybe. I watched the Super Bowl, but it took me a while to get back to the Super Bowl. It rubbed me the wrong way, even though I knew how it was going to go down, and how everybody reacted to it. You know, because it's like he was just saying, "Hey, man, it's police brutality." So. And no one, and that went over their head. They just, well, I fought for this country. He's talking about fucking police brutality.
I've never understood why. First of all, the flag, the American flag, it's a piece of fucking cloth. All right, so let's just start there. Like, chill the fuck out. First of all, secondly. That piece of cloth represents this entire country. The military doesn't own the flag. So what that flag means to a military man is one thing. What that flag means to me is another thing. What that flag means to a Latino person is another thing. And what that means to a black person is another thing. And if that flag you don't feel is representing who you are, then you are entitled to not stand up for that flag or bear some kind of fucking worship to that flag. That flag doesn't deserve you to respect it.
But here's the deal.
Respect you.
But here's the deal. People talk about the flag, but you know how many American flag fucking bikinis you see, or American flag?
100%. All those dumb rules. It's just to fit a narrative. Yeah.
I guess if it's on some titties, then it's okay. You know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
So, and that's what always pissed me off about it. But I just can't understand how people don't. I mean, that's seeing one side of the argument, and that's all that was, and it just rubbed me the wrong way.
Well, and the crazy thing in that whole situation is that it was a military guy that met with him and told him to kneel.
Yes.
And so he started kneeling out of respect, so he would still respect the military,
right,
and still, you know, have his stance. Yeah. And everybody just skipped right the fuck over that.
What I had a problem with was in 2020 when George Floyd was murdered, and people demonstrated and they rallied and rallied. It was like, well, you need to do it peacefully. Well, Colin Kaepernick tried that and he got ostracized and lost his job. So what do you want him to do? Like, peacefully hasn't worked.
Yeah. I mean, like, you're preaching to the choir, but I mean, I'm 100% behind you on that. That's why I kind of, to be honest, I mentally checked out of everything for the longest. And I mean,
you and I are the same in that way. I've paid so little attention to everything for probably the last 4 years. And
I slowly started coming back. But I tell you what, though, what hit my heart the hardest, and I mean, I remember, like, it sounds like nothing to everybody, but I remember one of the times I went back to see my dad. We used to always go out to eat when I go pick him up, and we go out. And this is during the pandemic, before he got bad, you know. And so he had all these masks, the COVID mask, whatever. He had all these ones to choose from, and the one he chose was the American flag one. And it sounds like nothing, but I go, wow. You know what I mean? He goes, and he got the American flag when he put it on. And just doing it. It wasn't like he wasn't trying to prove a point, but that's the one he chose. And that always touched me, man. You know what I mean? And, finding out he was, because it was a military burial, and they gave my brother the flag, and he had an Air Force plaque. And
that's a big deal, man. When they play taps and
fuck, dude.
Yeah, that'll get you, man. That'll get you.
I lost it on that shit, man. Yep. They did that. I go, fuck. And I just,
yeah. And it gives you a little better understanding of that perspective on it,
Right.
Yeah,
but it's the refusal to acknowledge that someone else gets to have their perspective too.
Exactly. And the cool thing about my dad, he never said anything off color. The most off color he ever said was about the United States was, he goes, man, this country, he goes, they treat the black man so bad. And that's the only thing he ever said as far as disparaging. That's the only I ever heard him say. He goes, they treat the black man so bad. And then he went back into whatever he was doing. And I was like, wow. And that was him speaking freely, me and him together, when you could, just go off and say how you really feel about shit. And that's the most he ever said. So I respect his opinion. And I'm the one now that's, like I said, I'm slowly coming back to, I can't say normalcy, good, but it took a long time. Like when Trump first got elected, because I really thought we had turned the corner. Like, hey, we're gonna, I almost bought into it,
Mm-hmm.
and then I saw how he came along and I go,
How emboldened people got, like, it's just.
Yeah, and so now I'm at a place like, all right, this is how it's just gonna be, and so I'm like, all right, this is it. So, I can't. But here's what I can't understand how people don't see that. I think there's some schools or whatever that maybe it's out west in California, it's not a California thing where they don't stand for the national anthem or do the national anthem, whatever. And some people get pissed off, and I go, you're trying to tell me you don't understand now after you treated a certain group of people, how you treated them like shit. Like you kick a dog enough and the dog bites you back, you go, the nerve of this dog to bite me after I did all that I did for him. Well, motherfucker, you oh shit, sorry about that. You treated certain people a certain way, and then all of a sudden they respond back to you. What do you expect to fucking happen? So it's always kind of pissed me off, So it's just a matter of like, hey man, you kind of getting your comeuppance in a way, and that's the only thing that you get the comeuppance about. It's still a good life. I mean,
Right? Yeah.
The only thing that pissed me off is when you hear white dudes say, "Man, why do people hate us? I mean, I didn't do anything." You want to go fucking really? I mean, I don't hate anybody, but it's like
I always look at it like sins of our fathers type thing,
Yes, dude. Exactly.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. I mean, and you think you turn a corner, and then all of a sudden you see on TV where Missouri executes a black man where there was questionable, if he did the crime or not. Regardless, if there's enough, then stop the execution. But they didn't, and they still executed him. So now I'm back to fucking square one. You got to deal with that shit.
And there's also, when it comes to the flag and when it comes to the national anthem, whatever else, nobody ever says shit when it's for a religious reason. You ever notice that?
Exactly.
Like when I was a kid, in elementary school, we had to do the Pledge of Allegiance every day.
Yes. Yep.
There were 2 girls in my class that were Jehovah's Witnesses. And in their religion, to do the Pledge of Allegiance, to stand for the national anthem, to do all that is to bear false witness. That's also why they don't celebrate Christmas. That's why they don't celebrate birthdays. They don't celebrate the only holiday they celebrate is the Passover. That's it. They don't celebrate any other holidays because to them, that's in their religion, that's bearing false witness.
Yeah,
but nobody ever said a fucking word.
Jesus always gets a pass. You mentioned religion, and it always gets a pass.
Yeah,
that's all we got to.
The religion that has to do with Jesus. If a Muslim or somebody that didn't worship
100%, because they were Jehovah's Witnesses, at least still followed Jesus, and still it was a Christian God, quote unquote.
Trust me, I know. I mean, like anything else, Christians are fucking bullies, bro. I mean, they've always been that way, and they're the ones. They're the ones that fucking. They're the ones that destroyed the Moors. The Moors were black, and they helped Spain, or they helped us. Modern society. A lot of their inventions transferred to modern society.
Right.
And
that's why Sicilians.
All right, we gotta wrap it up.
I'm so glad that BT got my True Romance reference.
Oh fuck yeah, bro!
Greatest fucking movie ever made.
Oh, hell yeah! Fuck yes. Yeah.
It's my number one. I will fight people. Yes. I will fight people.
That's a great. I fucking hate cops. You're an actor. Act, motherfucker. Oh. God damn, that's a great movie, bro.
It is.
Great
it's
movie.
So good. Such an amazing cast.
Yes.
All right, yeah, we got to wrap it up. Chris has got to go to bed.
That's right.
Chris is tired.
Right. He got to go to bed. I'm an hour ahead of you guys. It's 10:30 my time.
I know.
I got an early bedtime.
That's what happens when your
Bro,
co-host is a
fucking
little
pussy, bud.
co-host a little bitch.
Those are my favorite guests when they call me a pussy.
Pussy, bro. Oh yeah, now I know what clip you're gonna use now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I told him he was a
wiping out
pussy.
them.
I told him he was a pussy for not going to therapy.
Yeah. Too bad this podcast is only gonna be 25 minutes long. I'm cutting out all that stuff about equality and everything else. Fuck you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. We're still gonna make sure nobody learns about Tulsa.
That's right.
So I'll tell you what, I'm the only white guy left in my neighborhood, and if these people think they can get over on me, I'm gonna be in trouble.
Bro,
Oh,
it is
man.
fucking great, man. Great. What a good time this was, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, man. I really appreciate you. You know I love you. I hope that I hope you're getting some stage time or getting there and fucking walking.
I've had no stage time since May. So it's like when I get on stage, hopefully I can go to a place but make it funny. You know what I mean? I'm hoping I can go talk about the two tragedies. I mean, the accident.
Yeah.
And my day, but I want to make them funny. I don't want to sit on a soapbox.
No.
But I want to make them funny. I want to go on a place where we go, wow, that worked. I mean, the one I got
Well,
now.
do you remember how long was it from when the lockdown started to the first time you got on stage? How long was that?
Hey man, I live in Indianapolis. They act like a lockdown never happened. So I mean, we were doing shows like in the rest of the nation in a lockdown. I mean, it's
Okay.
like never happened. So
Okay.
It
wasn't a real break.
Yeah,
Okay.
I worked it. I worked the whole time. It was,
Well, just watch, like, I promise you, because the first time I got on stage after all that, the moment I remember being nervous, and like I got to do an hour and yada yada yada, and the moment I remember actually seeing my foot hit the stage,
yeah.
watching my foot hit the ground on the stage, and it was like nothing but calm. It was like I was home. It was like an exhale. So
Yeah, looking forward to it.
you'll feel that. I promise you.
Thank you, brother. I
All
appreciate
right,
it.
brother. Love you. Thank you so much.
Hey man,
Pleasure
good
meeting
meeting
you,
you, Chris.
BT. Yep.
I mean that. Thank you.
Good
guys.
luck to you.
Appreciate you.
Yep. This is another episode of False Starts with Bill Blank and Chris Shipley. Check out the rest of the podcast on the Three Beards Media Network. And thanks again to our sponsors, Revelson Distilling Company, Greenberry Realty, and of course, live from our studios here at the AKC Marketing Andrew Downs Studios. With that, we are out of here.